Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. And today I have a returning guest. He is the victorious, the boss, Mr. Kenneth Cross, coming off of a huge XFC 51 Evolution win over Manny Sanchez. Kenny, I think you might have been in one of the top fights of the year, my friend. I mean, it was action-packed. It was a bit of a bloodbath. And you got the job done. Overall, what are your takeaways from that absolute thriller?
My first takeaway is I'm prepared now to be able to last 15 minutes with some of the best fighters in the world. Um, a takeaway is my striking skills are just where I thought they were. Like I said, my left hand came back about 2 weeks ago into this camp, so I hadn't really been able to dial it in as much. So there was some wild punching in there, and part of the reason is because I was excited that I had this left arm and I was just winging them, throwing them from the mud. Like I was just like a little dog in there, just excited to be there. But a takeaway is body shots. Every time I went to his body, they would land. When I couldn't find his face anymore, I should have put a mix of more body shots in there. But I landed a couple, and I was really safe when I threw them. I realized I could have done more of them, and definitely towards second and third round, they mean more. I feel like they accumulate and they mean more in the later rounds, even if you haven't started going to the body, because he hit me in the third round with a body shot. His first one that I felt, maybe there was more, but I only really felt one, and it was in the third round, and it hurt. It sucked. So I didn't want to show him that it hurt, and he didn't go back to the body. I didn't even go to his body because I didn't want to remind him to come back to mine because it hurt. So I know deeper in the rounds that I think those body shots mean more. So that's a few of the takeaways.
Going into this contest, did you envision this to be a little more wrestling heavy than what it turned out to be?
I envisioned him falling down in the first round. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to at least start the first round on the feet. I wanted to mix in takedowns if I couldn't get away from his striking or if I wasn't prepared to take damage. But I think immediately, like whenever he hit me, I barely felt it. I wasn't afraid of his punches. I wasn't afraid of him taking me down. So I got to utilize my striking, and I mixed in some good well-timed takedowns, and like I was playing football again. I used to be a safety, so I would just dip low and football tackle people when I wrestle. And now it's transitioned over into MMA. The timing on my takedowns are beautiful. I didn't have to expend any energy. I didn't want to start squeezing him and use a lot of energy on the ground because I wanted to keep it striking. And I know it's going to be a different fight if I start putting a lot of my energy into the grappling. So I just wanted to take him down to maybe just to change the frequency of the fight. It's a smaller cage, so it forces the action. So I knew I was going to have to utilize my wrestling a little bit, but I wanted to keep it standing, and I envisioned him falling after I hit him with a few shots that connected, and he didn't fall like I pictured back in the locker room. But that just made it more fan friendly, and we got into a nice war.
You cut him really bad there in that second round. In between rounds, the doctor looked at it. Did you think at all that it could have been stopped? Were you surprised that they let him continue?
I thought they were going to let it keep going, honestly, because he's been cut before. I feel like he's been around the block and he's going to protest. I think you're in your hometown, like you can't do that to him. But I was ready for the third round. I knew I already won two, so I just needed to coast. And again, I wasn't afraid of getting knocked out because he hits like a girl. Like I don't have a scratch on my face, and he hit me more in that fight than I've been hit combined every fight I've ever fought together. And I don't have a scratch on my face. Some people wanted to say that I lost and that he won, and you guys are fucking delusional. But yeah.
I mean, he was bleeding so bad. Did it being so slippery, with it being so much blood, did that make it harder to maybe take him down or even land shots because it would just slip?
In the third round, when I was circling away from him a lot, I would catch myself stepping in puddles and having to drag my feet to dry him off. And I remember, obviously wanting to circle us away from his corner because he had a great cornerman. And but sometimes, the only option was where there was dry canvas and where I could plant. When it came to wrestling, the takedown, it didn't really affect my explosion and takedowns as long as my feet could be planted. But holding him down, yeah, definitely was slippery. He was super sweaty before we even went in there. And then also I knew it would help me if he tried to guillotine me like he did several times. And, I think it was the third round, second round at the end, maybe he got me in a guillotine. He got me into like a butterfly kind of guard, and he was squeezing on my arteries. I could tell, but just post and get out of there. It was fairly easy. So I just remained calm and used his blood to benefit myself. He was wiping his eye a lot. I know as soon as I cut him, it was going to slow the fight down because that thing was pouring. He had me pressed against the cage and I was squeezing his wrist. And like the harder I would squeeze his wrist, the more that blood would squirt out. And I saw it hitting the commentary people and everyone that was ringside. They were in the splash zone. It was getting on their computers. I could see them like scooting their stuff away. And, for me, that just allowed me to stay calm. I'm like, this boy's about to pass out from blood loss. Like, I don't even got to do anything. So it was really exciting. I loved every minute of it. I went home, showered it all off. It was a bloodbath for real in there. It was crazy. I was like, had my wife come in there and help me wash up because my left arm hurt from the elbows. And there was just blood coming out. It was crusted in my hair. All I could taste and smell was blood for a while. It was crazy.
You showed off the weapon of choice, the elbow, a couple minutes ago. Walk me through that sequence when you were able to cut him with that.
So my left hand was kind of just going past his head, or he was getting out of the way of it, or we were just in elbow range. We were just really close in that little chicken coop. Paul Felder was at Extreme like the week before I went to this fight, and he was showing us a bunch of different elbow combinations. And honestly, throwing my left elbow is kind of like throwing my cross. It's the same motion. So a 3-2, a leaping 3-2, or a leaping kind of like 3, and just slam my elbow into his head. I could see where he was, so I'd even close my eyes after I tracked him down, downloaded all the movement, could tell that his feet were flat. And if I just shortened up my 2 into an elbow, like even if he tries to block it, it's going to knock him somewhere. And he had his hands down, and I split him right on the top of the head. And it was like a good 20 stitches or so up on his dome. Now, if it was a little bit over towards the eyebrow, anywhere towards the eye, I think the fight definitely could have gotten stopped. But since it was more up on the top of his head, which is where I was kind of hitting him the whole fight, kept him alive, and it made the fight just really interesting, to say the least.
Coming into the contest, I think everyone knew your wrestling ability, your grappling ability. Obviously, you had the hands as well. I mean, you're a very complete mixed martial artist. But do you think this contest really reinforced to everyone that you're as complete as it gets?
Yeah, people can sleep on my striking all they want. I palm strike this dude in the face like Iron Man / Boss Rutan. I hit him with so many back fists. Like I was saying before the fight, I'm good at evading and running away and still fighting because my big brother would chase me down growing up, and that was the only way to land shots and to get away was to run, run, run. So I'm calling it throwing the purse at him. I hit him so many times just throwing the purse, moving backwards, using my unorthodox striking that sometimes you can't even use in sparring. I've never palmed anyone in the face in sparring because there's no glove, there's no padding on my palm, and that would hurt more obviously. But in the fight, it was perfect, and it kind of that palm strike really I could tell confused him because it's almost like you're poking him in the eye, but if you put your fingers up, you just stiff arm that bad boy. Like it hurts, it stops his movement, and it's also like what I just get hit with. So man, the striking was all there. Landed a nice head kick. I landed several elbows. I just kept going back to the well with that. My middle finger was pretty jammed. It's not too bad today, but I kept hitting him with beautiful fake jab hooks, landing on the back of his head. I'd hit anywhere I could find because his guard was actually really good. And a lot of times I'd go to jab him, and he would tie up my front hand somehow or block it. And I'm excited that I got to show the people that I can strike. I've always been comfortable striking. I spar with the best people in the world, but a lot of times fighters want to wrestle me. I knew he wasn't going to want to wrestle me, so it could be more of a boxing fight. And I just kept going. Like it's easier to box in my eyes than to wrestle the whole time.
Did you enjoy the fight? Did you like that style of fight, that fire fight? Do you have fun in there?
Yeah, this is the most memorable fight that I have to date, and something I can hang my hat on for sure. I barely warmed up before the fight. I wasn't feeling my best from the weight cut, and my legs were kind of dead. We were standing around for hours waiting to go in, and so I just kind of just started having fun back there before the fight, watching the previous fighters on this little computer behind. So we were watching fights, and I was getting excited, and I was really kind of just manifesting like what was going to happen. I knew something special was going to happen in this fight. I thought I was going to see his body fall, and I landed a bunch of shots and he stayed there. So I just got to continue using my arsenal, keep, refining it in there while I'm working, while I'm making money, while I'm making people happy, and in frustrating him to say the least, because my striking was never really documented. And if it was, I was knocking people out in one shot. So the follow-up shots, you couldn't really gauge my kind of striking, so you couldn't prepare against it. And it's not where I want it to be. Like I said, I just got my left arm back not too long ago, so I'm going to dial it in and sharpen everything up. Obviously, that performance was great, but my next performance will be something special.
I think what was pretty special about this fight is UFC Hall of Famer, probably future Hall of Famer, got to commentate it. King of Cringe, Mr. Triple C, Henry Cejudo was on the commentary crew for your fight. Did you think that was pretty cool?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I didn't know he was going to be commentating. And then I think during the fight, I looked over and I saw that he was up there, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. He kept bringing up how big my feet were. It's hilarious. I talked to him after the fight, and he's like, you got to change your nickname to $5 foot long. I got these size 14 flippers, and it just makes my reach that much longer when I get in a nice dorsiflex going and poke them in the eye with my toes or whatever I got to do. But my feet are have been an advantage for me my whole life, and I've always told people it makes me faster, more balanced, and now it adds to my kicks. But he was getting a kick out of it.
I have to bring that up because they brought up the 14 shoe size over and over again in that contest. Yeah. Is it hard for you to find shoes? Like, where the hell do you find size 14 shoes?
Yeah, it's been my whole life. It's, after high school, my feet were like 12 and a half, and, now I'm almost 30 and they're size 14. They just keep growing. And yeah, shoe sizes, once you get to 12, it's like 12 and up, you got to go to like the clown shoe store and find your shoes there, order them. And you never get the cheap prices because I don't know, there's more material that goes into it. But yeah, you could ask my wife. We have to go shoe shopping, go to many places sometimes to just find one pair. And luckily I'm not like I used to be. And I always wanted so many pairs of shoes. And now it's kind of like mainly for training. I don't like to spend my money on a bunch of material things that I'm going to rip through. If I do, it'll be shoes, but I've toned down a lot in the last few years.
Obviously you've had your run at the UFC, whether it be on the Contender Series, whether it be in the Ultimate Fighter. One thing we're really seeing from you now is you have a personality to you. You're a very charismatic fighter. And I think, the sport has evolved so much where I think you kind of need a personality. I mean, fighting, your skill may not be good enough anymore. I mean, it can get you in the UFC, but if you really want to evolve yourself, you need that personality. I know obviously some of that had to do with maybe you not getting on the Ultimate Fighter reality show because of this whole experience. Is that something you're kind of taking a little more to let the character out as well?
You definitely need to show your personality, but I think you have to know yourself to be able to let that personality shine. And time, it takes time to develop, and it takes time to find out where you're supposed to be, where you are, where you want to be, and who you are inside and out, and with your values and what you hold highest. Putting all that together and going out in front of a camera and speaking to millions or speaking to thousands or even just speaking to 100 people in a room, there's a certain pressure knowing that you have to be yourself and you have to kind of amplify yourself. And then there's the energy in the room and you want to match theirs, but also get your point across, and they want call outs and they want a lot of things. So it was tough giving people what they wanted when I just wanted to fight in front of them. But now I'm getting more fights under my belt, and I'm getting more time to practice and, and to pray about like what I want in the future. So it's just coming, full swing. And I just want to keep being myself and keep showing the people who I am inside the cage and outside the cage. I want to be a role model. I want to be someone that kids can look up to, because I love training kids, and I know down the road it's going to be something in my future. So holding myself to where I want to be down the road is the one thing that'll keep me hesitant from being crazy Kenny, that a lot of people just want to see you be crazy. And it's tough. It really is tough navigating the personality side of fighting, because it's super intense in there. And, WWE, you kind of have it choreographed and you practice and you can go out and be loose. But when you're really intense and you're attached to winning so much, and one mistake you get embarrassed in front of so many people, letting the haters win, all this stuff plays a factor in the back of your head. But if you can just let go, be yourself, and enjoy the ride. I was telling these people a quote, and it was a lot of people, they get so caught up in the future that they forget that they're where they used to pray to be. And so if you can just be present and realize that you're so far from where you came, it kind of takes the pressure off, and you can relax and be yourself. And if people can gravitate towards you, you're going to get paid more. You're going to become a superstar. Or if not, you got to find something that people like. And hopefully being myself will be the key source.
Before the contest earlier that afternoon, you got to do something really cool. You got to interact with some special needs kids. A bunch of the fighters were in the octagon. I know Alex was letting them put arm bars on him and stuff like that. How did you enjoy that?
It was probably the best part of the week by far. I met some incredible kids. Mac, shout out Mac Dog. He was at the fight. And his brother, they're like the Domination Brothers. They have these cool WWE names. And my boy Dylan, I used to hang out with, has Down syndrome, and he was really close to me, and honestly one of my best friends in Tennessee. And so it really just stuck with me, and I gravitate to these kids because I know how much love and joy they have in their heart, and it really just it amplifies the room. You can be around these kids and realize like what really matters most in life, and I know like they're having a great time, and it makes me have a great time. And they love grappling and getting their hands dirty, but being safe. And that's the best thing, is these fighters know how to take care of their partners and to teach them to take care of their partners. And that training is for fun, and training is for self-defense, and that they can do this kind of stuff, just to let them have that hope. And so, I let my boy beat me up, and he had just the biggest smile on his face. And it really humbles you, and it makes you feel really lucky to be a part of that whole XFC fight week.
This XFC promotion obviously went through a rebirth earlier in the year. They're doing big things, man. I mean, every show they've been putting out has a bunch of former UFC guys, contender guys, Bellator, PFL guys. I mean, it's pretty crazy that that's considered a regional show with, all the top talent that's there. Obviously, they do a lot to try to give back to each community that they visit. But you fought for them a few times now. Overall, what are your thoughts on this promotion?
They're cultivating something special, that's for sure. They are holding themselves at a really high level when it comes to promotion, when it comes to the production and lights alone. Like, it looks amazing. Everybody wants to fight on these cards. And I had some good talks with kids that are coming up and wanting to fight on these cards, and they're really lucky to be here. And it's nice because, when I was their age, it was all about getting to the UFC, and these promotions are just, feeder fish fights. Like, we're trying to get somewhere else. But here at XFC, they're kind of like making it feel home, and making it feel like they care about you, and helping you with all your needs. Shuttling us to the gyms this time around was really nice. And they had a really nice scale this time, and little things. I want to fight in a big cage, but sometimes you learn the most in a little cage, and you learn who you are. So XFC is doing amazing things, and I'm excited to be a part of the organization and continue to fight for them. And I look forward to the future.
I truly believe that you are one of the best fighters in the world that's not either in the UFC, Bellator, PFL. Obviously, we've talked about before, your goal is try to get to the UFC at some point. That's something that obviously you want to do. Any fighter wants to do. You think after this showcase, are you one step closer, you think?
Oh, yeah. I'm leaps and bounds closer with every fight, especially going up against someone that's well-known as Emmanuel Sanchez. And, putting on a bloody performance. People love that. And I know that does more than just the numbers that you see that night. Like, this is a fight that's hopefully going to get spread around, and many people are going to see this, and hopefully it lands on their desk and they come knocking. If not, I just keep, living my life day by day, being who I am, and only getting better in every aspect. And, I enjoy XFC, but yeah, I mean, it's a goal of mine to be in those UFC shorts 100%.
We have about 3 months left in the year now. What else do you want to accomplish going forward here? You want to get another fight or two?
Another fight would be nice. I like to stay active, and I'm injury free. I want to get a better camp. This was my best camp I've ever had, but there's still a lot of holes in my game that I got to watch back in that fight, and a lot of things to sharpen up. I made it 3 rounds, and with a guy that never quits and wins a lot of decisions. That's my 3rd decision now out of my 19 fights. I've never lost when I've gone to the judges' scorecards. So, even though it's a decision fight, it's a unanimous decision, I think I displayed good character. I think I displayed a full mixed martial artist that's prepared for the top level. And, I'm ready whenever they call me.
What are the reactions been like from either teammates, family, friends after that crazy fight that you were just in?
Yeah, they say I'm the man now, and all I can say is I've known that for a while. I just had to put it all together, and consistency. Everyone can make their dreams happen. It's up to you. And my friends, my family, they're really proud of me. I'm proud of myself. This is a great performance. I'm really humbled with the people that came out, my family and friends that made it out to the fight. It shows me that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right things. And yeah, it gives me more confidence. I made it 15 minutes with a legend of the sport. I made my grandma proud, made my father proud, made my grandpa, made them all proud. And, it feels really good. I'm happy for a few days, and then it's kind of just back to head down and to the grindstone.
Talking about going back in the grindstone, you train at one of the best gyms in the world over at Extreme Couture. And since you've gone there, you're just getting better and better, my friend. Do you really see the training there with that high level caliber of training partners really helping your game?
Definitely. In the 2nd round of that fight, old Kenny would have been toast. He would have been done. The little bitch would have crawled into his head and told him, you can't win this. You're too tired. Give up your neck. And that thought came into my head, and it was so easily stiff armed to the side because my heart rate, my control of my breath work, and my mind, knowing what I've been through, and the guys that I've been training with, and the coaching that I've been given, and seeing myself just living up to that high standard, and everyday practice, coming home, being proud of the work that I put in on the mat that no one gets to see. I got to prove a lot of haters wrong, and it's definitely due to where I'm at right now and who I'm training with, and the little goals that I have every day that I go to one of the best gyms in the world. It's not just to survive, it's to thrive.
We talked about personality a little earlier, and one of your training partners has a lot of personality, Mr. Sean Strickland. Do you have any interesting or funny Sean Strickland stories?
He calls me Redneck Leonidas when I have a big beard, and that was awesome. He's always dabbing me up. He's a really nice guy. If you put in the work, he's nice to you. He's a nice guy, and that's something that I'll always remember when I think of him. Is like he's really sincere and heartfelt. Like as strong as as aggressive as he might be when you're in that training room and you've been there for a little bit, he starts to make you feel like a teammate. And so when we're sparring, and Sean comes in, he'll spar in the morning, and then he'll come into our practice. And no matter who you're going with, he's just like, fucking kill him. What are you doing, pussy? He's like, hit that man. And so he'll amp us up. That's something that I always think about. Like, oh boy, Sean's here. Like someone's gonna get fucked up. One time, my teammate Moda was fighting this guy that came into the gym, and I guess that guy said something to Moda, and he's like, "You said you gonna hurt me?" And he drops this guy, and like he starts trying to kick him on the ground, and you see Sean run over there to like protect this dude. He's like, Moda, calm down, relax. So again, he's like trying to save people because he's normally the guy that's trying to kill people. So it's another thing that just stands out. He seems like a really good guy, and I haven't got to know him outside the gym, but I love having him as a teammate.
All right, Kenny, last question for you. What's the goals from this point out? What's left to accomplish for the boss?
There's a lot left. There's a lot of goals, a lot of milestones that I'm trying to reach. It's just taking it one day at a time, seeing what kind of offers I get, where the money leads, where my heart leads, what my family's thinking. And, I just want to stay healthy, continue to train and get better. I turn 30 next week, so I'm entering my prime. I know I have these next 4 to 5 years are going to be the hardest years of my life. I'm going to grow extremely well where I'm at with the people around me, but I want to continue to get more defined, more structured, everyday training I have a lot more time in the day, and I'm capable of handling more. And I continue to grow that gas tank and grow the amount of energy I can expend every day. And that took consistency. It takes good diet and strong mind. It takes Jesus Christ helping. It takes a lot of things. And I'm right where I need to be to ask for more. And, closed mouths don't get fed. So with the confidence I have and the skills that I'm showing, I'm going to keep adding, more time, more hours with the coaches and getting real disciplined and continue to grow so I can stay healthy, make it through training camps, have good weight cuts, and keep demolishing people. So anyone that wants to fight, I want to continue to take these guys that are ahead of me and, fights that are going to help me grow and put on exciting shows and continue to show the world what I'm capable of doing.
Kenny, my friend, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me again. I love the fight, and I think your future is very bright, and I can't wait to see you fight again.
Thank you so much, brother. It was good to see you again.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us tonight. That is the boss, Mr. Kenneth Cross, Carl Prusa.
Peace.
Stick around, friends.